Hello, I'm Henry, and I watched a movie. I watched Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I would like to talk about it, please. Have you ever watched a movie and thought, wow, that felt like more than one movie? Not really because it was long, but because a lot of stuff happened and a lot of ground was covered. I know I felt that before. Avengers Endgame felt like that because it was literally more than one movie in one movie. It pulled it off brilliantly. It's pedal to the metal with payoff and fan service and action and character arc conclusions all in perfect balance. And despite being over 3 hours long, it's so well paced and so well structured. The fact that there's 9 movies worth of stuff happening inside it isn't really noticeable. It doesn't drag, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's great. King Kong from 2005 is kind of like the exact opposite of that. 3 movies happen in that movie, and individually, they're okay. There's the stuff in New York and on the boat, there's the stuff on the island, and then there's the rampage back in New York. Now that may sound like I've just described a 3-act structure, but here there are simultaneously so many things going on in each act, and also so much nothing happening in each act, that it all becomes disjointed. The 3 acts feel completely separate, and when they're combined and the movie is taken as a whole, it is an almighty slog to get through. It doesn't help that it's also 3+ hours long, but despite being a similar length, it makes Avengers Endgame feel like a GIF. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom isn't 3 hours long, but it is still an almighty slog, because it too feels like more than one movie. It feels like 2 distinct movies, so much so that I am willing to bet that at some point in pre-production, it was 2 distinct movies. I'm going to show my working here, that's the whole point of this video. I'm going to go through the first of the 2 movies that Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is, the second, and then focus more intensely on just how awkwardly they are stitched together, looking at just what kind of unholy necromancy was used to animate this shambling monster. Let's get into this. The first of the 2 movies in this movie concerns Isla Nublar blowing up. Isla Nublar was the island where the Jurassic World amusement park was built and opened. In the previous movie, that Jurassic World amusement park fell victim to the inevitable security breach. Dinosaurs got out and ran amok, people got eaten, and the park, and by extension Isla Nublar, was abandoned. A summary. But hold on, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom's here to throw spanner into the custard. There is a volcano on Isla Nublar, and it is about to blow. Why do we care about that? Volcanoes erupt all the time all over the world. Well, here's the thing. Those dinosaurs that got out in the first movie, they're still on the island. They're going to get covered in lava, and that'll be that. No more dinosaurs. Imagine living in a world with no dinosaurs to distract you from all the horrifying things happening in it. That's the setup for the first of the 2 movies in the movie. A societal debate whether those dinosaurs on that island that is about to blow up should be saved. And then a cast of characters going to the island to do just that. As far as setups go for a sequel to Jurassic World, this is actually really good. There's a lot of promise here. There's a lot of premise here. It's simple, structure-wise, giving us a concrete goal and a black and white outcome. And yet it can be explored in more complex ways, as moral dilemmas and motivations for the central characters. The location is familiar, allowing callbacks to the first movie. And with the impending volcanic eruption, we've got a ticking clock heading into what can only be a visually impressive climax. This is enough promise for a whole movie. This is enough premise for a whole movie. However, sadly, all that promise and all that premise isn't really delivered on, for a bunch of reasons, but mainly because this movie needs to get out of the way so the second movie in this movie can start. It's an entire film's worth of stuff condensed down into the first half of one. The setup is rapid and rushed with cliche news reports, and poor Jeff Goldblum doing a lot of moral and expositional heavy lifting. What should be the midpoint shift is the first plot point, which should be the climax is the midpoint shift, which we will be focusing on later. It's all squashed together and comes at you like a Gatling gun. Imagine if everything was just allowed to breathe. Imagine if we weren't told the volcano was going to erupt in the first 30 seconds of the movie by the good old BBC, but instead the entirety of Act 1 were characters discovering that it was going to happen. Showing. Imagine if the entirety of Act 2 was the moral and existential debate about saving the dinosaurs, interspersed with the people on the island who discovered that the volcano was about to erupt, taking things into their own hands. And then imagine if Act 3 starts with the volcano erupting. Suddenly you've got this amazing prolonged set piece with fire and lava and dinosaurs running about and characters trying to save them. And then the movie ends and you come out of the cinema and you're like, yeah, that felt like one movie. Instead, this all happens back to back to back to back. And by the time the second of the 2 movies start, you're exhausted. You know Chekhov's gun, right? don't show a gun on the wall in Act 1 if you're not going to fire it in Act 3. Well, the volcano erupting in the first part of Fallen Kingdom is like someone first seeing Chekhov's gun hanging on the wall, immediately running up and grabbing it, and then just mowing down everyone in the room. And then they put the gun down on like a table and they leave to go do like a race around the world or hunt vampires or start an ice hockey team or something. This is truly a bizarre way to structure the first half of a movie. The second of the two movies in this one movie concerns a genetically engineered dinosaur doing a rampage. It isn't quite that simple, however. Nearly all these Jurassic movies have a climax where a dinosaur does a rampage, and for the most part, they don't feel like multiple movies. What makes this dinosaur rampage feel like its own separate movie, whereas the others, for the most part, feel like natural third acts? It's the amount of other stuff happening, plot-wise, character-wise, world of the story-wise. When the T-Rex does a rampage at the end of Lost World, it's really just, how do we stop this, or how do we get away from it? That's all that's really happening. But here, there are so many threads and so many layers and morals and revelations. It's like, movie, please pick a lane. There is an evil dinosaur auction. Side note, this is one of the worst auction scenes in any movie ever. It is so poorly put together.
Right, okay, so I filmed myself giving a description of this auction, and I just thought, you know what, I'll just show you it instead. Like, okay, so this guy is the auctioneer, right? This guy here, this is Toby Jones. These are all the people at the auction. This dinosaur on this track comes and just sits like right in the middle there. How is Toby Jones supposed to see all these people over here with a dinosaur in the way? Look! Look! Is this Ankylosaurus? I don't even know. But look, there's Toby Jones. What if this person here wants to put a bid on? This guy. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here as well. But just on my previous point, Mr. $5 million over here has to lean with his big hand. There's people. Look, there's people here. What if they wanted to buy this dinosaur for $5 million? Also, $5 million for a dinosaur. Of course, we've got the number going up in the villain's glasses. This is truly, everything is amazing here. Okay, so Charlie Big Potatoes has just dropped this bid of 20 million. And for some reason, the Endoraptor is not for sale, right? Okay, so Toby Jones is about to tell that guy that it's not for sale. Why wheel it out in the first place? That little nod. Right, that little nod is, okay, now we can sell it. So why was it not for sale? Why was it not for sale, yeah? If you can just change your mind and make it for sale. None of this makes any sense. It is rubbish.
Predictably, the auction goes wrong, and the dinosaur that wasn't for sale gets out. Carnage ensues. Meanwhile, we've got our main characters in the same building. They're locked up, but manage to escape just as the carnage is ensuing and they are swept up in it. They duck and they dive and they run about the house. With the help of a little clone girl, they manage to evade the escaped super dinosaur, kill it, and free the other captured dinosaurs. The end. Terrible auction scene aside, this would make for a great movie on its own too. Even the clone girl? Yes, even the clone girl. This could be like Die Hard. This could be so much like Die Hard. You're in a fixed location, a building, a fancy event is happening. Then something goes south and it's all up to one person or a small group of people to save the day. They maneuver about the building, utilizing stealth and guerrilla tactics and the unique aspects of that building, and they win. Just replace suave German thieves with an angry super dinosaur and you're golden. You might need to add a few more dinosaurs to this. And this way, you've got an entire movie dedicated to this one location and the people inside it. You can delve into so much. End of Act 1. Dinosaurs get out. Characters need to run and hide. In the process of running and hiding, they are exploring the mansion and they are exploring themselves. Midpoint. Help arrives, help fails. The characters realize they have to take things into their own hands, they have to stop running, and they have to take the fight to the dinosaurs. Climax, the main character and the last dinosaur have a standoff, and the main character wins. I honestly believe if you did it this way, with proper setup, payoff, gestation, and delivery of information, you could get the little clone girl to work. As it is in the actual movie, everything is so clunky and so fast and so ridiculous that you can't take any of it in and you can't take any of it seriously. Right, okay, so those are the two movies in this one movie. An island adventure to save a bunch of dinosaurs against the ticking clock of a volcano, and an escape the monster thriller in a big spooky house. How are these two things brought together? What are the logistics of all this? How can an island adventure become a spooky monster thriller? Poorly. I feel like these questions were written in the margins of the first draft of the script and then they just started making the movie without answering them. Because my God, is it hand-waved. Before we get to that moment of transition, what comes before and what comes after, we do have to give a smidge of credit where it's due. There is a little bit of setup going on in the first movie for things that happen in the second movie. I mean, you can't spring a little clone girl on your audience out of nowhere. You just can't. We have scenes at the big spooky house that will come into play later. And the way our heroes get to the island for the first half is via a guy who is outed as the villain in the second half. So we do have some connective tissue here. It's just thin and holding on for dear life. Because the events of the plot and what actually happens aren't helping it in any way. Our heroes are on the island. We get a whole bunch of things that feel like a climax, but really we're only 30 minutes in, and a bunch of dinosaurs are loaded onto boats to save them from the volcano. By this point, the mercenaries who accompanied our heroes to the island have been outed as baddies. And it's these baddies who are loading the dinosaurs onto the boats. There's this dock, and there's all this hubbub. It's busy, and there are people and trucks all over moving dinosaurs around. Our heroes are now in the baddies' bad books, and will most likely be shot if spotted. However, they can't get off the island on their own. And then the volcano goes into overdrive. And suddenly, the dock is empty. So they get into an inexplicably unattended truck and they make this preposterous jump onto one of the boats that has just cast off. No one sees this. The boat they have just jumped onto is full of soldiers and not a single one says anything or does anything or checks on the truck that just jumped aboard. It's actually quite hilarious just how little is made of it, or the ease in which these characters sneak about this boat. They even sleep on it. I should remind you that these characters are marked by the baddies, and bar one of them, have no value to them at this point. If they are spotted, they will be shot. But the movie's like, we're on the boat now, don't worry about anything else, it's fine. Why is it like that? Well, it is this boat that connects the two movies. And let me tell you, not since Noah has a boat put in so much work. If the characters are spotted on this boat, the second movie can't happen. So they just aren't spotted on the boat. It's so audacious for the movie to tell you to accept this, but it's got no choice. This is where one movie ends and another one starts. And the characters, and by extension, us, have to be physically moved from one to the other. I reckon they would have sailed this boat right up to the front doors of the spooky house if they could. And what's even more outrageous, the moment our characters reach the mansion, the location for the second movie, they are immediately captured. It's amazing. If they were caught at any moment before the exact moment they are caught, the entire movie would just end. But as soon as we're into the second movie, it's like, see, they got captured. This is plausible. This is real. There's stakes. There's tension. And then from there, after them getting captured, the second movie plays out like I described earlier. It's amazing. It is amazing just how weak sauce this transition is. The two movies in this movie are held together with string, chewing gum, and hopes and dreams. If it was Frankenstein's monster, like the title of this video suggests, dude's arms off, he's missing a leg, he's crawling about on the ground, it does not look good for him. Why did they do this? If they had the scripts for two movies, why didn't they just make two movies? They were in the early stages of trying to build a franchise when this came out. What's a better way to build a franchise than release multiple movies a year, especially movies of varying genres like the two are here? You've got your big explosive adventure, and you've got your quiet, science fiction thriller. Actually, no, wait, I think I do know a better way to build a franchise. Make good movies. Sadly, this stitched together creature is not one of those. Shout out to Henry Wu though. Henry's recognise Henry's. Hello, thanks a lot for getting to the end of the video. Like and subscribe and all that. First movie 1 done. 3 more to go. I haven't started on the next 3 yet, but I'm recording this well in advance. We are well ahead of schedule, so it's looking good. See you in the next one.